nanotechnology is a lot of things, right? It could be in engineering, it could be in system dynamics, or it could be in biology or medicine. When we talk about nanotechnology in biology or medicine or in pharmacology, in this case, we are mostly talking about breaking down molecules to make them more soluble or more absorbable and to break them down to a very small size. So for instance, we do a lot of nanotechnology with cannabinoids. Because they are insoluble in water, they're soluble in oil, you need to break them down so that they can be absorbed. Otherwise, you only absorb about 10%, 10 to 20% of what you take. So by breaking them down with nanotechnology, which basically means either get them through a sonificator or through a centrifuge or using solvents, there are different methods. You just break down the oil particles in very small fractions that can pass and be absorbed much more easily than a big blob of fat sitting in your stomach.
So when somebody tries to scare you by saying it's nanotechnology they're injecting you with, it's going to turn in, it's going to be like robots in your body that can be controlled through 5G.
Right. So you shouldn't really take omega-3s, CBD products, any kind of oils that have been treated to be more absorbable. You shouldn't take, because that's nanotechnology.
Oh no.
Right.
It's all nanotechnology.
Right. And nucleic acids like mRNA, they also belong into this category. They're not very water soluble, so they use nanotechnology so that they can be absorbed and transferred into the cells, which means very small nanotechnologies. Nano means small, so nanotechnology is small particles.
It doesn't mean nanobots.
It doesn't mean nanobots. There's not bots anywhere into the vaccines, like there are no bots in CBD extract.
The biggest bots we should be concerned about right now are the bots that are lining our conspiracy theory rabbit holes on the internet.
Yes, we should be worried about, you know, the Russian bots and the kind of Chinese bots and all the bots that are kind of creating this scaremongering.
So when an actual medical doctor does a video trying to scare people, this is nanotechnology, you can be controlled through 5G by this. When an actual medical doctor says that, what do you say to that?
Well, I've been thinking about it quite a lot, and there's part of me that is quite angry at my own profession. But then I realized that to be a doctor, you don't have to be a scientist. And most doctors are very much practitioners rather than scientists. So, if you go to medical school, you learn about diseases, you learn how to treat diseases. You don't really learn on how to conduct experiments. You don't really learn how to create a medicine. You don't really learn about technology or even biology. And the more you practice, the more you are doing things, practically. That's what we do in practice. So unless you take an interest in studying and researching what you're actually saying, it's very easy to actually be misinformed like anyone else.
As people in general, we need to really make a distinction between doctor practitioners and their expertise and scientists and their expertise.
I think that we need to listen to the experts. We need to listen to people that have worked in an environment for many years and have no agenda in furthering an ideology or an argument versus another.
Right. Because a lot of doctors have been rejected by the scientific community or hurt in some way by the establishment through their own practice, and so they've got sort of an agenda or an axe to grind against the establishment, which may skew how they interpret things.
Sometimes it's not even that psychologically motivated. Sometimes it's just wanted to sell a book or
Grow an online audience.
Grow an online audience, grow a practice that distances itself from traditional Western medicine, to have fame, to have the accolades that you didn't get as a standard physician, to find your uniqueness and way to stand out.
I just want to say also about experts. When you say really look for the experts, we've got to be careful that just because someone has doctor or something in front of their name, we don't assume that they're an expert on the topic that they happen to be talking about today. We have to make sure that they're actually an expert in that specific field. Lots of doctors have been putting out misinformation this year about COVID in 2020 in which they were not epidemiologists, they were not qualified to make those statements.
Right.
And in many cases, they were wrong at a pure mathematical level. They were just wrong with their statements.
I'm not an epidemiologist, and I'm not an expert in all those matters. I'm not a virologist. I have a medical degree. I have a background in basic research, and I have over 20 years experience in clinical research and development. I understand the great pictures, but then, for instance, when this came out, I started reading, and I started reading both sides of the arguments and listening to those that were very entrenched into the Western method and those that were very critical of what was coming out of the establishment. That led me to read a lot of papers, to learn and to form my own opinion. And although I'm not an expert, I can quote sources that are reliable and reputable. And I am welcoming challenge because I know that I don't know it all. And there is a lot that I don't know and I don't understand. Every time I'm faced with somebody that challenges me, I'm faced with a belief system rather than actual data. So when a doctor says the mRNA vaccines are going to change our genetic makeup, they literally, I'm afraid to say, but they literally don't know what they're talking about. Because if you read any basic principles of genetics, and again, I've been lucky because I've been working in genetics in my early career, but there is no basis of any genetic theory or material discovery that suggests that that could be the case with the current products. I'm not going to say that there's no chance that we can modify or introduce mutations into humans, because that can happen, but in this case, it can't.